It started on a quiet Friday in late October when I was alone at my house in Ohio. My name is Jason Miller. I had just moved into a small rental on the edge of town. Cheap place, old wooden floors, and a backyard that led straight into a line of trees. The kind of place you take because it's affordable, not because it feels safe. That night, I remember the wind was stronger than usual. The house kept making those soft cracking sounds like it was adjusting itself. I was watching something on my phone when I first heard it. A knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just deliberate. 3 slow knocks from the back door. I paused the video, looked toward the kitchen. Silence. I told myself it was probably branches hitting the house. The trees were close. I went back to my phone. Then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. Same rhythm, same patience. I stood up this time. Walked slowly into the kitchen, trying not to make it feel like I was nervous. I turned on the back porch light. Nothing. Just the yard dim and empty. The trees swaying slightly. No movement. No footsteps. Nothing. I almost laughed at myself. But as I was about to walk away, I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. The glass on the back door had a faint smudge near the handle, like someone had pressed their hand there recently. I stepped closer. That's when I heard it again. Except now it wasn't knocking. It was scratching. Slow. Dragging. Right at the bottom of the door. I backed away immediately. My first instinct was to lock everything, even though it already was. I checked the deadbolt twice. Then I did something I still regret. I looked through the peephole. Nothing was there. But just as I was about to step back, a shadow moved across the porch light. Quick. Low. Like someone crawling past the door. My breath got stuck. I grabbed my phone and called my neighbor, an older guy named Harold who lived 2 houses down. He didn't pick up. The scratching stopped for maybe 10 seconds. Then came a sound I'll never forget. A whisper. Not from the phone. Not from outside the yard. From the other side of the door. It said my name. Jason. I froze. And then the handle moved. Slowly. Like something was testing it. That's when I backed into the hallway, heart pounding. So hard, I could feel it in my throat. I turned off the kitchen lights without thinking. Darkness swallowed everything except the thin glow from the porch. And then the knocking started again. But this time it wasn't 3 knocks. It was nonstop. Fast. Heavy. Angry. The door shook slightly with each hit. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the sound shifted. It wasn't just one thing anymore. It sounded like multiple hands hitting the door at different angles, like whatever was outside wasn't alone. And then complete silence. That silence was worse than anything before it, because I knew something was still there, waiting. I stayed frozen in the hallway, barely breathing, listening to that dead silence stretch longer than it should have. My mind kept trying to convince me it was some kind of prank or animal, but deep down I already knew this wasn't normal. Then I heard footsteps, not on the porch, inside the house, from the kitchen, slow steps across the wooden floor. I remember gripping the wall, so hard my fingers went numb. The house had only 2 entrances, front and back, both locked. Nothing should have been inside. The footsteps stopped near the kitchen counter. Then came a soft tapping sound, like something lightly touching the glass of a cabinet. 1 tap, then another, then it stopped again. I should have run out the front door. I should have done anything except what I did next. But I needed to know. I picked up a small flashlight from the hallway drawer and slowly moved toward the kitchen entrance. The porch light was still shining through the back door window, casting long shadows across the floor. I stepped just enough to see inside. Nothing. No movement. But then I saw something that made my entire body go cold. The back door was no longer closed. It was slightly open, just a few inches. Cold air was slipping in. I swear I'd locked it. I double-checked it. And then I noticed something else. Mud prints. Inside the kitchen. Small, uneven steps leading from the door straight toward the hallway where I was standing. My flashlight started shaking in my hand. And then I heard breathing. Right behind me. Close enough that I felt the air move against my neck. I turned around fast. Nothing. Just darkness. But the breathing didn't stop. It shifted. like whatever it was had moved to my side instead. That's when I ran. I bolted straight for the front door, fumbling with a lock, hearing the footsteps pick up behind me again. Faster this time. Heavy. Right on my heels. I threw the door open and ran outside into the cold night air. I didn't stop until I reached the streetlight near Harold's house. I kept looking back. My house looked normal from the outside. Quiet. Still. Like nothing had ever happened. But the back porch light was off now, and the back door was wide open. Harold finally came out after I kept banging on his door. When I told him everything, he went silent. Then he said something I'll never forget. He told me the house had been empty for almost a year before I moved in. But the previous tenant left in a hurry after reporting someone standing outside their back door every single night, never leaving, never speaking, just waiting. I never went back inside that house. But sometimes when I pass by that road, I still feel like something is watching from the tree line. And worse, like it recognizes me now. I was alone in my small rental house outside a quiet town in Ohio. My roommate Jason Carter had left for a weekend trip, so I had the place to myself. Around 11:40 p.m., I heard the first sound. It wasn't loud, just a soft scrape outside the front door, like someone dragging their fingers slowly across wood. I paused my movie and listened. Nothing. I told myself it was probably a branch or an animal. The house sat close to a tree line, so it made sense. But then it came again. Scrape, pause, scrape. This time slower, more intentional. I stood up and walked toward the hallway. The porch light outside was weak, barely lighting the steps. I looked through the peephole and saw nothing at first, just darkness. Then something moved at the very edge of the frame, a shadow low and still, like someone crouched right beside the door. I stepped back immediately. My phone was in my hand now. I don't know why I didn't call anyone right away. I just stood there listening. Then came a knock. Not normal knocking. 3 slow hits. Separated. Controlled. I asked, "Who's there?" My voice came out weaker than I expected. No answer. Another knock followed, this time lower on the door. Like whoever was outside had leaned down. Then a voice. Quiet. Almost calm. "Jason, I know you're in there." My chest tightened. They were mistaken. Jason wasn't home. I should have said that. Instead, I stayed silent. The voice repeated the name again, closer this time. Something about it felt wrong. Not just the words, but the way they were spoken, like they were testing the sound of it. I backed away from the door slowly and turned off the porch light from inside. That made it worse. The darkness outside felt heavier, like it was pressing against the glass. Then I heard movement again, not at the door this time, to the side, near the window of the living room. A soft tap came from the glass. I didn't go check. I just stayed frozen in the hallway, phone shaking in my hand. That's when I finally called Jason. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. And then the worst part. A second voice came from outside, different from the first. This one was younger. Faster. "He's not answering. I told you someone's home." 2 voices now, talking like they were deciding something. I felt my stomach drop. The tapping on the window got faster. Not violent yet, but impatient, like they were waiting for me to react. I moved slowly toward the kitchen, trying not to make noise. I grabbed a knife without thinking. It didn't make me feel safer, just less empty-handed. Then everything went silent. No knocking, no voices, nothing. For about 10 seconds, I thought maybe they left. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. One text. "Don't go to the back door." I didn't even know there was someone at the back door until that moment. And right after I read it, I heard the back door handle move, slowly turning, like someone already knew I was watching. Block 2. I didn't think. I ran. From the kitchen straight into the hallway, heart pounding, so hard I could hear it over everything else. The back door was around the corner out of sight, but the handle kept moving, like whoever was there was testing it again and again. I remember whispering, "No, no, no," without realizing it. Then the front door slammed. Not opened. Slammed. like something had been pushed against it from outside with force. I froze in the hallway, stuck between both doors. That's when I saw it. The front door deadbolt was still locked, but the wood around it had started to flex. Not breaking yet, but bending slightly inward with each impact. Something heavy was hitting it. From the back, I heard the slow creak of the door, giving in. I made a decision I still don't understand. I ran upstairs. Stupid choice. But panic doesn't think clearly. Halfway up, I heard footsteps inside the house. Not loud. Careful. Like they were trying not to scare me too early. That's when I realized something worse. They weren't breaking in randomly. They were moving like they already knew the layout. I crawled into the small bedroom closet upstairs and shut the door as quietly as I could. I could hear my own breathing getting louder faster. My phone screen lit my face, but I didn't dare move. Then I heard it. Footsteps on the stairs. One at a time. Slow. Stopping halfway. Like whoever it was had paused just to listen for me. A whisper came from downstairs again, but now it wasn't calling a name. It was counting. Still here, still here. Then a second voice answered from somewhere else in the house. Check the rooms. They weren't outside anymore. They were inside. The closet door suddenly felt too thin. Every small sound felt amplified. I covered my mouth to stop myself from breathing too loudly. The footsteps split up. One stayed on the first floor. The other started upstairs. Closer. Room by room. Each door upstairs opened slowly, then closed, until only mine was left. I don't know how long I sat there. Seconds felt like hours. Then the footsteps stopped right outside the closet. No sound for a moment. Then a soft tap on the door. Once. Twice. A pause. Then the same calm voice from earlier spoke right outside. I know you didn't leave, Jason. Something shifted in my mind right then. They still thought I was someone else. But they weren't confused anymore. They were certain. The closet door handle slowly started to move. That's when I made the only choice I had left. I kicked the door open and ran straight through them. I didn't even see their faces clearly. Just shapes in dark clothing. One reached out, missed me by inches. I ran downstairs out the back door that was already cracked open and didn't stop running until I reached a neighbor's house 2 streets away. When police came later, there was no sign of forced entry the way I described it. No footprints that made sense. No clear explanation. But Jason later told me something that still sticks with me. He said he had received strange messages that same night. Messages that sounded like me, saying I was outside his place too. We never figured out who they were or what they wanted, but I still think about the way they moved through that house like they had done it before, like they were practicing or finishing something they had already started.